Hey, Tim Sykes here with another video lesson. I am so excited about today's video. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. It's mainly going to be talking about short selling. But first, before I get into this, first I got to congratulate Tim Grattani, first of all. He's my top student. He's turned a few thousand into now 3.3, maybe 3.4 million now. After yesterday's gain, he just had his biggest gain of the year. He made $52,000 yesterday. We'll talk about that in a second. But as I'm making this video lesson, you have just a few days to go right here to traderchecklist.com. Here is the URL in case you can't see it, traderchecklist.com. You go there, you enter your name and email, you get my latest guide, 11 hours for free. There's no BS, there's no, hidden sales or anything. I released this freely because I want all of you to watch it. I don't want any excuses whatsoever, like, oh, it costs money, oh, blah, blah, blah. There's no excuses. Okay, it is 100% free. No one else is doing this, but this is how much I want you to have this information. So please enter your name, enter your email. You'll get instructions on how to watch it entirely free. And please finish it too. There's a deadline. You have a few days to finish it, but just trust me, you want this before every single trade. You want to learn how to prepare and think about multiple indicators. Too many people basically email me and message me saying, hey, Tim, the stock is good news. Tim, the stock is a good chart. Why is it not doing what I want? Because you're not looking at all the indicators. And that's why I put 7 specific indicators to consider before you make every trade. It's going to help you big time. Anyways, let's talk about Tim Grattani's trade for a second. So this is CANN. And you should be following Tim Grattani, by the way, on Instagram. He just joined. His name is Tim Grattani. He actually teased this trade a week ago, right here. He was saying he had a little DVD contest. He has a DVD which you should be watching. You got to go to timgrattani.com, but he gave away a few free ones to help his buddy's clothing company called Enjoy the Moment. Pretty cool. But he also said this. He teased what he was going to do. He said, also, I'm very much looking forward to shorting CANN. He did not say this is going to crash right away. He actually wanted it to go up. The higher, the better. And this is how you have to think as a short seller. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to bring it down very basic. I have a whole DVD called Short Stocking. But aside from that, short selling is where you're betting against a company. You're betting on lower prices. You're taking a negative position so that if the stock returns negative performance, let's say it goes from $2.90 when he posted it, and let's say it goes down to $2 a share. Most people, Wall Street, would all say, oh, the stock is down, this is terrible, we can only be bullish. That's how you make money. You invest in good companies and you bet on them going higher. When in reality, 70% of companies' stocks go down every single year. You don't hear about that on CNBC. You don't see E-Trade and the little talking baby talking about that. But stats are ugly, and most companies fail. And most of the companies that not necessarily failing, their stocks are going lower. Okay, you have been sold a bunch of BS if you're always bullish all the time. And you can profit from when stocks go lower. You just have to know when is the right time to strike. You don't just want to bet on any stock going lower, because you have to understand that Wall Street, CNBC, pretty much the whole world is against you, because people look at short sellers like, oh, you're betting on failure? Oh, that's so unethical. That's un-American. That's wrong. That's illegal. I've heard all sorts of things. Actually, it's just logical and rational and statistically accurate. So for me and for many of my top students like Michael Good and Tim Grattani, we love short selling. We love betting against companies, especially sketchy companies and scams that are destined to crash, whether we short, whether we find shares to short or not. And this is the interesting thing with shorting. More people would be doing it if it were easier. But first of all, it's kind of annoying to think about, oh, you have to take a negative position. That's weird. You want stocks to go down. That's weird. And worst of all, you have to find shares to short in order to take your position. Normally, if you buy a stock, you just buy 500 shares, buy 1,000 shares, whatever. As long as you have money in your account to cover the investment, you can buy it. With shorting, because you're taking a negative position, because you're betting against the company in this kind of weird strategy, you have to find shares to short. That means that you have to get your broker to locate shares to short. And when it's a scam or, a very promoted company like CANN, everybody wants to short it because we know that it's going to crash. Here is what CANN has done the past few days. This is a 10-day chart, so it's up from the ones, got all the way up to the mid fours yesterday before crashing. It takes like 2 weeks for the stock to double, but then all it takes is 1 day for it to come down, and even now it's coming up again. This thing is, incredible. And I don't know Tim Grittani's exact entries or exits on his trade, but I do know that he was looking at shorting it all the way in here. In the low threes, mid threes, high threes, and fours. I don't know exactly what he got on his average, but I'll tell you he did pretty well because you can see here yesterday he made $52,000 shorting it. And he said, unreal day for CANN, my biggest trade this year. Didn't totally deserve it as I got stubborn on my short early. Bailed out by the press release, but good patience on the way down. So what he's saying here is that he was actually holding it, and he had some losses that he didn't take. And he got a little lucky. He got bailed out. And it's not the end of the world to be a little lucky and get bailed out. You have to admit it. Sometimes when you have these big wins, sometimes you have just a little luck on your side. I remember one of my biggest wins recently, or I guess 2 years ago now. It feels like yesterday. But I made $70,000 when I was trading with a bigger account. Now I'm trading with a small account every year. Next year, I'm actually going to start with just $5,000. This year, I started with $12,000. I'm up to nearly $90,000 or $91,000 now. But a few years ago, I was trading bigger, and I made $70,000 basically holding a stock overnight. And I got a little lucky that there was a follow-up media article on EKSO. And if you watch my old video lessons, you can see that. And I also had another $70,000 win just a few days around that other $70,000 win. That's right. I made roughly $150,000 in like 2 weeks, which was pretty cool. And I got a little lucky shorting a pump that was halted by the SEC. And when a blatant pump like a Wolf of Wall Street type pump gets halted by the SEC, it can really collapse. And I was shorting CNTO, and I made roughly 70 grand on that. And if I had waited another day, it would have been, 150 grand. But I'm never going to not take a $70,000 profit. And I don't encourage you to not do so either. So Tim Grittani was kind of in the same situation where he was shorting CANN. If I have to guess, judging based on what I know of him, he was probably shorting it, in the high threes, maybe four-ish. And he was down maybe 50 cents a share in here. And he got a little lucky. He got bailed out because there was a press release that said CANN was basically contacted by the OTC markets, which is kind of like the regulatory body of these small little penny stock pumps. And OTC said, hey, there's a lot of promotion going on with your company. And CANN, of course, played dumb, just like every single pump does, because they don't want to go to jail. But in reality, there was a big promotion going on CANN. Everyone has seen it, and it's just a question of when the promotion will end. If you've ever seen the movie Wolf of Wall Street or Boiler Room, these companies have insiders or big shareholders who are paying, or the companies themselves who are paying to get their stock up. And there's all sorts of unrealistic expectations being provided. And the whole goal is to pump the stock up as high as possible so that the insiders or whoever's paying for the pump can sell at, manipulated, inflated prices. And that's what CANN was. And that's why we like shorting it. It's very rational. It's very logical. Remember, that's what I said what short selling is if you use it in the right way. I'm not saying I'm going to short Herbalife and get into a debate whether a big company is a scam or not. I like shorting, and my top students like shorting these companies that there's no question that they're very sketchy. There's no question that it's a promotion. So it's not a question of if, it's a question of when, because all promotions end. Whether the budget runs out and then, the insiders have sold out all their shares and then the stock collapses, or if the SEC halts it and asks for more information and that halts all the promotional activity and then the stock crashes, or in this case, the stock wasn't halted, the promotion budget didn't end. They simply had to issue a press release talking about how basically, there's questions being asked about the promotional activity. So it's kind of the third option where, you don't have a halt, you don't have a big investigation, but just the fact that this promotion becomes public helps everyone understand, wait a minute, this isn't a good company. And no weed stock really is. There's a lot of sketchy weed promoters out there. I took down one of them in a Men's Journal article a few years ago, where he was basically riding all these weed stocks higher, and he thought that it would keep going. And I was like, no, actually, all these weed stocks are shit, and all shit goes down the toilet eventually. And I was right, and he was wrong. But that's not the biggest thing, to be right. The question is, can you profit off of it? Okay, I've been looking at shorting CANN. I've had it as actually a potential buy when it had this breakout in here. I like buying breakouts. But at the same time, I didn't want to chase it because I knew that it was a sketchy company. And I've said this in video lessons, webinars, and on watch lists. Like, this is not a clear-cut example where it's like, I only want to be betting against it, because you know that pumps can go higher. And this is why it's so important to really understand short selling and pumps and pretty much the whole market, so that you can have a better idea of when to go long, when to go short. I would not be against students going long this, just because eventually it's going to crash, just because the promotion is eventually going to end. Guess what? For several days, when it broke this former high here of 3-ish, it had a nice breakout to 350. And then guess what? Look at this. Look at this dip buy right here. It's holding the former high. So this is technical analysis 101. Perfect dip buy opportunity here at 3. And, by the end of the next day, you've already made 30% on your money. So it's actually easier to buy these kinds of plays on breakouts, but you have to be very, very careful. As you see, they can all come crashing down very quickly. So my guess, going back to the Tim Grittani trade, and I'm sure he'll detail it in a little bit. And do me a favor, don't pressure these guys to detail it. I see messages like, Tim Grittani, why haven't you posted a monthly recap? Why haven't you written all your blog posts lately? Like, he doesn't have a newsletter. He's not beholden to you. Okay, so give him a break. You're lucky that he's even sharing this and showing his trades to inspire you and showing you what's possible. So please don't do that. I have a lot of successful students who don't want to share anything on social media because of, once you start sharing some stuff, you greedy people want more and more and more information. And that's not their business. Tim Grittani, Michael Good, okay, they're very, frankly, I'm very grateful. And they're very fortunate, and you're fortunate to actually see what's going on with them. But please don't expect them to, do all this work. They're focused on trading. They're focused on living life. They're not beholden to you. I am beholden to you. If you want to complain to somebody, complain to me, because every single day I'm making video lessons, watch lists, commentary, trade alerts. This is my business, teaching and showing you everything. So thank you, Tim Grittani, for sharing. And I'm really ashamed of some of the comments I'm seeing where people want to see all the details. Wall Street is built on people being successful. And guess what? The successful people don't share. So this is kind of a new movement that I'm trying to start. So please don't ruin it. Had to just get that out there. But if I had to guess, and I think Tim Grittani might actually do a video on this, I don't know. I'm not counting on it, but I'd be grateful if he did. I'm guessing he was shorting it, probably, let's say, like 30 or 40,000 shares short at like $4 a share or 380. So he was down like 10 or 20,000. And then, the press release came out right here. One guy in my chat room actually nailed it right when the press release came out at 11:44 a.m. And I think that beat every other chat room, every other newsletter. So that was kind of cool. And it was just a big collapse, all inside of really, 2 hours. This is how fast pumps can collapse, whether they get halted, whether they crash. Somehow these pumps end usually pretty badly. And that's why if you are buying them, even if it is a breakout, don't just buy it and then just sit on it and don't look at it. If you're buying these, understand that you have to be on top of your game every single second. And I really hope you understand the risks of buying these things, because this one crashed, it took an hour, okay, but if it had been halted, you can't cut losses quickly on your longs. So there's tremendous risk buying these, which is frankly why I didn't buy it, even though it had a good chart. And I was looking to short it, but I could not find shares to short. Remember, this year I'm trading with just small brokers, or small account with big brokers. E-Trade and Interactive Brokers did not have any shares to short. Tim Grittani actually used a broker that has a $30,000 minimum. I've used them in the past. I did not use them this year because, again, I'm trading with such a small account. But if you want an intro to this broker that, frankly, has made a lot of people with big accounts a lot of money, send an email to admin@timothysykes.com and I will intro you to them. I'm not even going to say the name publicly because I've done that in the past with brokers. And frankly, brokers have been overwhelmed by my students. You guys see a good thing and you don't know how to pull back. You're like my little puppy if I just gave her endless chicken. I can't do that. I have to put a certain amount of chicken in her bowl or else she gets crazy. She has no idea like how much she can eat. And you guys have no idea how much you overwhelm, people like Tim Grittani and brokers. And again, I can handle it. This is my job. This is my passion. I'm getting 3,000 plus emails a day. So I signed up for this. No one else did. So anyways, he probably was short in the high threes, low fours. And, this thing tanked $2 a share. He said, bailed out by the press release, but good patience on the way down. So that makes me think that he didn't even cover in here in the $3 a share range. He waited for the twos. So if you're shorting, 30, 40,000 shares, let's say 35,000, maybe let's just say 40,000 shares, roughly $100,000, which sounds like a lot to most people, but, Tim Grittani, remember, he's made several million. So if you're betting against the pump, it's very logical. You know it's going to crash. It's not a question of if, it's just a question of when. If you bet $100,000 against the stock and you make, 50,000 bucks, you understand the risk reward. So even if he's betting, let's say 40,000 shares and he makes like a little over $1 a share, shorting it at, let's call it 360, 370 and covering, at 250, 240. That's it. That's how you do it. And he took the profits. You can see it's all realized profits. There's zero unrealized profits. So he took the profits, and it's a good thing because today CANN is spiking. Again, not because it's a good company, but because the promoters have to prop this stock up. They have to prop this carcass up so that there's, less risk of shareholder lawsuits. There's less risk of SEC investigation. When the SEC sees a stock drop 50% in a day on questions of, whether the stock was promoted or not, you're damn right. They're going to be asking questions, by the time they actually get to this case, maybe in like 3 or 4 years. But they're going to be looking at this for a potential investigation. So the promoters know this. They have to prop it up. And that's what's going on behind the scenes. Most people who invest in these companies have no idea. They just see a stock dropping 50% in a day, and they say, oh, penny stocks are so random. They're so manipulated. I hate penny stocks. And so this is why penny stocks are hated, because you see these crashes without any major news. Normally if you see a big company like Google or something dropping 50%, they reported terrible earnings. There's specific news, so it makes sense. With penny stocks, there is no specific news. Like, okay, there's questions about the promotion. In this case, there was a little news, but if there's no news and the stock drops 50% and the promotion is just over, so many people out there are just totally confused. And frankly, this is the misinformation that I deal with every single day, where I have to explain how the game works. And I didn't even trade this. I didn't buy it. I didn't short it. I have no bias whatsoever. My whole purpose is to try to help you understand how to profit, because I want more students like Tim Grittani, making $50,000. And then Tim Grittani also helps me mentor other students. You Trading Challenge students out there, you have 36 archived webinars from Tim Grittani, like nearly 70 hours of being able to listen to him. And too many people don't even watch it. You don't even go through the archive stuff, but you should, because Tim Grittani is arguably the most successful trader of the past 5 years, turning a few thousand into several million, showing every trade publicly. Okay, there's a lot of people out there who claim to be successful. They claim to be millionaires. Oh, look at this expert. Look at this guy. He has a nice suit. Oh, I can show a screenshot of one big game. Show every single trade, every single day for years, and ideally decades. And then maybe I'll believe you. But, it's sickening to me that there's so many people out there who claim to be experts. If Tim Grittani only showed this one screenshot, I wouldn't believe him. But because he shows every single trade, because he shows his losses, because he talks about them in webinars, he showed statements. I know when he got featured by CNN, they asked to see statements. It wasn't just like, oh, we believe you. His article on CNN went viral. In case you didn't know, let me just show you. Grit CNN. This is Tim Grittani's article from a few years ago, coming up on the 3-year anniversary. Let me make it smaller. Trader turns 1,500 into 1 million in 3 years, and now he's up to 3.3 million. So understand, this is a process. In order to make $50,000 in a day, and mind you, this is his biggest gain this year. He's really clamped down on his losses, but in the past he was more aggressive. I mean, he's had $100,000 days. He's had $200,000 profit days, as have I. We've all gotten more conservative this year because, frankly, the stock market is a little trickier this year, and that's okay. But this is a process. And the reason why I show you trades like this is A, inspire you, B, explain to you how the game works, shorting pumps and how you have to find shares to short, and that means having the right broker. And unfortunately, the right broker has a minimum of $30,000, even though I tell them every single damn day, lower your minimum so more people can do it, but they don't want to because, frankly, they don't want to deal with poor-ass people who don't want to pay fees and they want to whine and complain about everything. And I can understand where they're coming from, but this is the game, okay? Right now, if you can't afford a $30,000 account, that means that you have to focus on building a small account, which is exactly what I teach, which is why I started the year with $12,000, and next year I'll start with $5,000. So don't think that you can make $50,000 in a day from the get-go. You need to eventually have a lot of practice, a lot of knowledge. You have to understand the risks, and you have to be able to afford the right broker to get there. And again, if you want an intro to the broker that has $30,000 plus minimums, if you do have that kind of money, send an email to admin@timothysykes.com and I will intro you to them. But this is what you have to look forward to if you stick with it, if you study your butt off for years. Don't think that you're going to make $52,000 in one day tomorrow, okay, or next week or next month. It takes a lot of time and a lot of practice. And I'm very proud that, my website with all the video lessons and archive webinars and watch lists and commentary from real, actual millionaires, as opposed to pretty much every other site out there where they claim to be successful, but they don't show it. They don't back it up. I even show my income taxes and audits publicly too, in case you didn't realize that, just in case some people don't believe me. I want you to understand that we are real. And it's not always going to be pretty, okay? Tim Grittani has had losses along the way. And just because, we had this awesome CNN article, and yes, this is a real CNN article. Some people think that, I photoshopped this image or photoshopped this article. It's actually been shared nearly 7,000 times on Facebook. It went viral. I'm extremely grateful for CNN to do this. But this is real, okay? I know this sounds crazy. I know this sounds like some kind of internet gimmick, but everything we do and what I teach is real. But you do need to understand that it's not going to be easy. And it's not going to happen overnight. And sometimes a little luck is involved. And luck is not the end of the world. It's good to be lucky. And you have to admit that, okay? We don't know everything. Sometimes we have losses. Sometimes we screw up. If CNN did not have that press release, Tim Grittani might have lost $10,000 or $20,000. But that's not the end of the world. He's still up several $100,000 this year. So you have to look at everything in terms of risk reward. And I know that's difficult because, you want to make money on every single trade and you're like, oh, any one loss is terrible. This will discourage me from not, trading, from not learning anymore. I see these comments from you guys where you're like, oh, I have a loss. I'm not going to learn anymore. And you hurt yourself. Every single trade, whether it's a win or a loss, helps you learn to trade better, okay? I've had some losses. I've had some gains recently. The market's gotten a little trickier. Where was my link? This is my trades over the past few days, okay? I've been traveling a lot. I was in the Maldives, Bali, Thailand, and now Italy, and I've still managed to make, $40,000, even with some losses, even with the changing market. So I bring up these profits, and these are actual real profits that Tim Grittani and I are posting, to help you understand that eventually you can get here. But in order to get on our level, you need to study. You need to learn these patterns inside and out. You need to learn about short selling. You need to learn about pumps. It's not about any one hot pick. So I'm filming this on a Friday, hopefully to inspire you to study over the weekend and study my trader checklist guide. It's free. Okay? If money is the problem, you have no excuse not to study a free guide. And you can see all the indicators and you can see how we like to set up trades. Even if we lose, I lost today shorting Hive a little bit and I made a little money going long on CARA. Plus or minus $100 or $200, they're both scratches to me, okay? I don't care if I make or lose small amounts. The whole key is that you can set yourself up ideally for big trades, like that on CANN, and then big trade after big trade added up can turn a few thousand into a few million, which I think is the ultimate goal for a lot of you guys. But you have to go step by step. You can't cheat your way to success. You can't just go from 1,500 to a million without building up your account, without studying how to build up your account, without learning about short selling, without learning about how pumps work. I know everyone wants to take the easy path to wealth, but it is step by step. And as someone who has created several millionaire students from scratch, mind you, which is no easy feat, and myself creating, myself into a millionaire, turning my few thousand into several million. It is not an easy journey, and I don't want you to think that it is. And I know you want me to just talk about stocks, but I need you to have the right mindset. I need you to have the right perspective and have the right amount of patience, because too many people, again, I see more messages than probably any other trader in the world, which is cool. I can see what you guys need and what really works, and you guys need more patience, so much more patience. You cannot get discouraged early on in your journey. If you lose 500, if you lose 1,000, if you break the rules and you lose everything, rule number one for me is cut losses quickly. So some people are like, oh, Tim, penny stocks are terrible. They're so risky. Oh God, I'm going to lose everything. Well, yeah, if you break the rules, you will lose everything. And that's even more incentive to learn the rules. And guess what? If you are in any niche in finance and you break the rules and you use all your money on one trade and you use leverage like so many people want to do, guess what? You're probably going to lose all your money. No different than driving, my Ferrari 200 miles an hour in a 35 mile an hour zone. I'm probably going to crash and die if I do that. So follow the rules. The speed limits are there to help you stay alive. Driving a Ferrari is very fun if you go within the speed limit. I don't need to freaking go 200 miles an hour. I've done it a few times. Actually, more in my Lamborghini than my Ferrari. Ferrari, I respect a little more. I drive it a little slower. Lamborghini, I didn't know any better. That was my first exotic car. I got up to like 180 on the highway and I was scared as shit. So follow the rules in driving and follow the rules in trading. Driving, it's easy. You have an easy little driving instructor and a little test, and it's pretty easy to get your license. Trading, you have a lot of studying, a lot of education to get through before you can get your hypothetical license. I don't have any licenses, by the way. Some people are like, oh God, you're so unprofessional. Guess what? Yeah, I'm not a broker, okay? I don't care if you trade or not. I'm here to teach you. I'm not trying to get you to trade. Brokers actually hate me because I say, no, study more, trade less. Mark Crook, one of my upcoming millionaire students, he's made $600,000 now in a few years. He's watched every one of my video lessons 3 times. He's actually partially responsible for creating the tags and the categories for my video lessons. And now he helps mentor other Trading Challenge students. And guess what? 80% of his profits come from 6% of his trades. So you don't need to trade as much as you think you do. I know if you have a few $1,000s, you're looking at your account and you're seeing headlines like this and you're like, how do I get from point A to point B? God, I'm going to have to make a lot of like little $20 trades, a lot of $50 trades, a lot of $100 profits, and it's eventually going to add up maybe. That is not the right way to do this. That's not the right way to think. I know that you're encouraged if you make $50 on a trade, if you have a small account, and you're discouraged from learning if you lose $50, but FYI, it doesn't fucking matter if you make or lose $50. You're practicing, learning, taking the meat of the move, trying to understand the best patterns for you and your personality. We're all different, okay? If I was probably short CANN, I probably would have cut losses and I would have had a loss on this. Whereas Tim Grittani has had more patience, he's a better trader than I am, and he turned that potential loss into a solid win. Again, with a little luck, but still he came away with the W. So for you guys, if you're encouraged or discouraged by small gains or small losses in the beginning, it doesn't fucking matter. Okay? When you have a small account, you're in practice mode. I'm so proud of Stocks to Trade, my charting and scanning software. In the next few days, we're finally going to unleash paper trading where you don't even have to risk any money and you're going to be able to practice. And maybe that will help you guys focus on learning, even though paper trading, you don't learn as much because, there's no real money at stake, so you don't get the true emotional education. But at least then, hopefully, it will help you understand that you're in practice mode. Whether you're paper trading, whether you have $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, none of the money that you make or lose is going to be life-changing. I know you feel that way, but in order to become my next millionaire student and to have a headline like this and for us to take a picture together and be on CNN, which is what I want, you need to have the right mindset right now. And it's not just about buying whatever stock is hot. It's about learning different patterns, structure, risk management, how the game works inside and out, so that eventually you can grow your account and then it will be life-changing money. Tim Grittani took 9 months before he was even consistently profitable. Not 9 months before he made $1 million, okay? 9 months before he was even sure of himself and understanding what patterns are better for him and what patterns are worse. So if you cannot give me 9 months of you testing out and seeing how to really make the best situations work for you, whether you're in school or work or whatever, just quit now, okay? If you just want to make a lot of money really quick, quit now. Don't even waste my time. But this video is for all of you guys who are willing to give me 9 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years on your education that will change your life for the rest of your life. And maybe even your kids and your grandkids' lives if you, do well enough and make some money. More importantly, you can pass these lessons down to other people. Frankly, it's sickening to me that so many successful people are so selfish and they don't want to pass down the lessons to other people. They don't want to give away their secret sauce. They're so worried that they might lose it if they share it. And frankly, I got into teaching because, I'll be honest with you, I wanted to collapse these patterns. I was like, these patterns have haunted me and they've given me a great life, but they've also been like my gift and curse for several decades. I missed my college graduation. I missed out on a lot of life because I'm focused on these patterns. I focused on learning so much and I feel guilty when I see a play and I don't capitalize on it. Now I'm teaching and I thought that if I shared it with enough people, then the patterns would stop working and I would be free and I'd probably make a lot of money teaching. And what has turned out is that even though I do make a lot of money teaching, not many people are very serious about their education. There's a stat out there that says 80% of people with gym memberships don't even go. And they just have a gym membership just in case, like, oh, I have a gym membership. Maybe today is the day. Nope, I don't feel like it. I'm just going to drink. I'm going to have some extra pie. But I have that gym membership, in the back of my mind that I could go. And I find that is very similar with a lot of you guys. You have the potential to learn about trading. You have all the tools. I'm basically a financial gym. I'm a giant motherfucking gym between me and all my top students with all of our webinars and DVDs and video lessons and commentary. I mean, you can use us and really sculpt your financial account. No different than someone who sculpts their body. But the sad reality is that 80% of people, roughly, don't even watch the video lessons. They don't even go through all this. So for me, I know you want quicker video lessons. You want me to just talk about stocks. But for me, mindset and understanding the process and the journey as a whole is so, so, so important. Because if you get off on the wrong track with these small gains or small losses as if you think they actually matter in the long run, it's so difficult to get you on the right track. Because as awesome as it is that I have several millionaire students, and as awesome as it is that they give back and now teach other students, if you have the wrong attitude, it is so, so, so impossible for me to try to change your life, because you just have the wrong mindset. Every single thing you're thinking in the wrong way. And it's so tough to create a millionaire from scratch. It's impossible to create a millionaire from scratch if you have the wrong perspective. So I have to spend an extra few minutes trying to get you on the right track. If I can reach one person out there with this video, then this has been a good 35 minutes. But sadly, I know too many of you will just stop watching this video after I talk about CANN and the $52,000 profit, and all this other stuff is just a useless rant. I don't know. I'm going to keep trying. I'm never going to give up on you guys. And I'm always going to try and, teach better and swear less. I'm sorry. I get passionate because it's frustrating. But for those of you who have stuck around for the whole video, this can be you. This is no pipe dream. This is no BS. But you're going to have to get the right mindset, and it's going to have a lot of consequences for you. Maybe you're not going to go out with your friends as much because you're going to have the right mindset. And you're going to say, wait, I have to stay home and study. And maybe you're going to drink less on weekends. And you're going to say, wait a minute, let me not wake up, at noon like so many of my useless friends later who have these crappy jobs that they hate, or they're inundated with debt, or maybe even filing bankruptcy. And so they go out on their weekends to try to forget, their worries and their money problems. And maybe you're going to be a little different. You're going to say, I don't want that life. I'm going to wake up early on the weekends, because on the weekends, there's no stock market open, and that's when I can really study. That's why I love studying on the weekends. And at night, when the stock market isn't open, it should be your opportunity to really study with no distractions. I know you think that you can only learn from when the stock market is open. You want to see every play. You want to see how it reacts to news and different charts. But I'm telling you that the vast majority of stocks and charts out there, it's just random noise. And if you try and, decipher it, your brain is going to hurt. You're going to end up like the guy in the movie Pi and give yourself a lobotomy, because you're just going to be like, God, I'm looking at too much. Tim said to study, and now I'm overwhelmed. I want you to study, but I want you to have focused studying. I know we have a lot of video lessons and webinars, but we talk specifically about patterns that work and patterns that don't work. And if you learn from actual proven millionaires, as opposed to just random people, as opposed to newbies. A lot of newbies think that they can teach, like, oh, I've made $10,000. I'm better than you, Tim. I know everything, or I made $100,000 quicker than anybody. Stick around, newbies, okay? Because you really have to be in this for years and make millions upon millions of dollars like my top students and I have before you can claim to be a useful teacher. Because guess what? If you learn from the wrong person, if you learn from the wrong mindset, you're not even going to realize it until it's too late. I know many gurus and chat rooms out there who have a different mentality, and they like betting big, they like using leverage, and they say, oh, Tim, you're such a pussy, you're such a coward. And guess what? Those other chat rooms, those other newsletters, their top students have blown up. They've lost 25, 50, 100, 150% of their money. Yes, you can actually lose more than you have, because if you use leverage, you can actually owe your broker money. So I take it in. I take the abuse, saying that I'm a coward and that I teach, small, easy patterns. But trust me, if you go with the wrong route, and I've seen this happen before, you will blow up like most traders. You will lose everything like most traders. So forget about the dream of turning a few thousand into a few million. Imagine the nightmare of turning a few thousand and then owing your broker several thousand or tens of thousands, and then you having to claim bankruptcy so that they can't get you, in credit. I've seen it happen too many times. Yes, I'm a coward. Yes, I take my profits too quickly. Yes, I could have done a whole lot better. But the way that I teach is this way for a very specific reason, because I also see how other people teach, and it is the wrong way. So please do not learn from the wrong people. Do not learn from people who don't show every single trade. Don't learn from people who just post one or two screenshots and say, look, I know everything. Showing every trade publicly, showing your real name publicly is key. Transparency is key in this shady industry. Remember, Bernie Madoff was president of the freaking NASDAQ before everyone realized that he was a fraud. So no one is off limits for fraud in this industry. You can be president of the United States, although that's not saying that much lately, okay? No one is trustworthy until they prove it. And Tim Grittani and I and Michael Good and Mark Crook and so many other people who are here on Profitly to help you learn, we show every trade through thick and thin. You see our mistakes, you see our successes, and frankly, we're very grateful for this business model because, all of us have gotten really better at cutting losses because we share everything. We know that, you guys are watching us. We don't want to look like idiots, so we make better trades. And that is the beauty of social media and the beauty of the Profitly community, which is why we now have over 100,000 traders on it. You don't want to look like an idiot, so you learn good skills. And that's awesome. So anyways, that's my rant for today. Congratulations to Tim Rutani, $50,000 plus profit yesterday. Awesome job. So many more of you guys, congratulations on your recent gains. And more important than just your monetary gains, your knowledge gains. And that's what it's all about. Eventually, you have enough knowledge and you can do amazing feats like this. Thank you. I'll see you guys in the chat room.